So one of the things that I like about model railroading is that I get to learn things about other things not related to model railroading or railroads or you name it. And thanks to this model, I learned about the sport, I guess, or leisurely activity of mud flat hiking. Mud flat hiking. Yep, that's right. And I guess because of the way the tides work or whatever in some parts of Northern Europe, you can do this. You can hike out quite a ways onto the mud flats that are left by the retreating water. From what I understand, this is a UNESCO World Heritage Site in Northern Netherlands where they do this pretty often, and you can go take tours. Tour guides will take you out and do this kind of thing. So if you're there, head on over. This girl was saying she's from the Netherlands and didn't even know this was a thing. Getting to model trains, this activity is known as wadloping or wadlopping or something, or however it's pronounced. This is the nickname of the train I'm going to review for you today. So hold on, I'll be right back. Today's episode is brought to you by Pet Assistance First Aid Kits. If you're like me, you love your pet. You take them with you if you can. You certainly care for them a ton at home. But just remember that no matter where you are your pet's first responder. Like it or not, you are your pet's first line of care and perhaps only line of care. They depend on you to make sure that they stay happy and healthy, and the people at Pet Assistance have made sure to create a product that will help you do just that. With the help of veterinarians, the Pet Assistance First Aid Kit is a 60-plus piece first aid kit that comes in this handy carrying case. It's a soft carrying case that is meant to be as light as possible. The entire thing fits easily in your car or in any kind of suitcase you're going to use during your travels. The kit contains many bandages and wraps of all sizes for your pet, and it also contains things such as cleaning solution, Q-tips, combs, lancets, and a dog whistle. Here's a list of all the things included with the kit, and hopefully you will find it useful as I have. Remember, Pet Assistance for the first line of defense for your pet. If you remember, I was saying that this wadloping or wadlopping or whatever it's called takes place in the Northern Netherlands, and that's important here because the Northern Netherlands was one of the last places to have electrified rail. So in order to service their low-density lines, they came up with these, the DH1 and DH2. They were basically buses on rails because only the driver needed to be there and he could take care of the train and collect the fares, etc. They sported Cummins diesel engines, and they started appearing in the Netherlands right around 1982, 1983, and they stayed in service until right before around 2007 and 2008 is when they finally took them out of service. And what's kind of cool is you can still see these, and they've shipped them off to far-flung places like Argentina, so you can actually ride on these to this day. You just can't ride on these in the Netherlands anymore. And back to the original part of the video, they took a vote of all the people from Northern Netherlands who might be using this thing, and they found through that vote that this thing's nickname was going to be the Wadloper. So pretty interesting. I guess they are really proud of the whole beach hiking movement in that part of the country. Well, I happened to be trolling around on Facebook one day and I saw this post from a new model railroad company called PB Models of the Netherlands. And well, it's pretty cool. December of 2021. And they posted this really nice video on YouTube showing what would be their first product. And that product would be the Wadloper. They were going to produce both the DH1 and the DH2. And I've seen this before, at least in videos, but I didn't think any. It turns out one company does make this, but this would only be the second one in HO scale that would be made. So I thought to myself, I really have to have one of those. And for whatever reason, I'm kind of fascinated with Dutch trains. I've probably spent the most time in Europe on Dutch trains, because I often transit in and out of there when I go. So I thought this would be neat. And it looked like to me that they would try to situate themselves as a premium model manufacturer. And you can see all the little details here that they're putting in, including all this, looks like wiring. That's actually going to be curved. Have electrical couplers. These little lights, I'm not entirely sure what they do. I get they come on when you stop. So if you look here, they have both the major variants of them. The one sort of without this black front and the other one with. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to order one of those. And PB Models let it be known that they were going to do all the direct sales, so I had to order through their website. So fine, just logged on and found their order page, started typing in. It turns out I couldn't enter an address other than the European Union. Wasn't sure what was going on, but they were a new company, no big deal. So I just entered my address, but put it in Germany. Anyway, waited. And eventually, I think it was early November, they came through and they said, hey, these are ready to be ordered. You can go ahead and pay for them now. So I got an invoice, but I asked them if they could switch my invoice to ship to the US. By doing this, I could also avoid paying the 80-some euro VAT. This was not an inexpensive model. This should be a pretty simple matter, I figured, but what I got back was this tersely worded note, this email that said, we don't ship to the USA. When you placed the order, it was not possible to select the USA. Why didn't you ask us? You selected Germany. We only ship to the EU. I'm sorry. Doesn't seem too sorry. So I certainly know that PB Models is going to be happy from all of those keen orders that it's getting from the European Union. And I'm pretty sure before they sold these, they had a plan to ship these orders. I had to think of the sequence here. So no problem. You just walk on down to the post office place and you go in there and you give your box to the nice lady or gentleman behind the counter and you ship it off to Europe. But you're really sad because it's 2022 and what do you know? You get an order from the awesome customer, Dr. Hobby. But that guy's so freaking cool. We got to make sure to get this into his hands because he loves this stuff. Here's what you could do. You could actually walk down to the very same place, go up to the very same counter, and it doesn't even have to be the same person. You can give it to any person as long as they're in a uniform behind the counter and have this conversation. Hi, I'd like to mail my model train to the United States. Is this possible? Yes, you've actually been able to mail things to North America since the mid-1500s. No way, you must be kidding me. That's totally awesome. And just like before, you can actually leave your package there and they will slap a label on it and they will send it to the US. Look at that happy eagle. But because they hadn't figured this out, I had to do it the hard way. I had to send it to my forwarder in Germany and they sent it to me. So I had to pay VAT and it's a real pain to try to get the VAT back. So I didn't bother. But when we open it up, we get this thing thanking us for the model, and it basically says if you have service problems to write to this address, and if you need the instructions, look on the website. Okay, fair enough. No instructions. But we open it up, go in here, there's the dummy plug because they put in an actual decoder. Here's a bunch of stuff, which I now have to go on the internet to figure out where it goes. Thanks a lot for that. Didn't just have like a little thing in here that told me. But if you look, they have these really, really nice microfiber cloths. This reminds me of LS Models when I got those Cairo cars. And we pull them out. So that's a nice touch, I have to admit. Nice foam. Here we go. So these look pretty good. I'll give them credit for that. The plastic seems pretty solid. It's not the most highest quality plastic, but it's pretty good. Very good. PB Models. Take a look around, single color interior, looks pretty nice. Nice separately applied parts. Of course, we have some more in the bag and I don't know where they go without logging on, but oh well, I guess that's my problem now. Obviously there's electrical coupling, so we know that it's going to actually have taillights and that kind of thing. And I can't remember from the specs what all this has. And I'm once again gonna have to go look, but all right, let's see. Yeah, very nice details, actually. I'm pretty pleased with it. Got the standard MU coupling up front. All right, so there we go. We'll pull out the other half of this. Let's get this out of here. Yeah, there we go. Okay, very nice microfiber cloths. And if you look, they have the PB logo silk screened on them. Can't beat that. I think they've at least, and I think they're trying to set themselves up as a premium modeler. And for the price I paid for these, I can certainly say that it's in the premium price range. From holding on to it right now, I'm not entirely sure if these quite match the premium price I paid. think, but we'll take a look around. It's obvious they did some good work there. There's no doubt about it. And I just, it's a little bit tough to tell from this without running it if it is worth the price I paid, which wasn't cheap. I can tell you that. You know what? Let's go ahead and pull out the foam to see if they really did stiff me on any kind of printed materials except for the thank you strip of paper. And what do you know? They're serious. They're not going to include anything in this. They hope that everyone wants to use the internet. And I think one of the things as modelers that we like is getting literature. I don't know. It's certainly something I like. Maybe they're trying to be more environmentally friendly. I don't know. But it's kind of weird, to be honest with you. So here's the instructions. Well, let's see. If you install your own decoder, that goes there. Here are the parts. And I guess here's where they go. Here's how to clip this together. Okay. So lately I've gotten a few locomotives that have some bizarre lighting options, and this is one of them as well. It looks like they're trying to sort of work with the lights and the direction of travel, but what's kind of odd is they put these things on F1 and F2, which F1, it's normally on European models where the operating sounds go, and F2 is the horn, but they've switched the operating sounds to F3 and the horn down further to F7 and F8. So I don't know why that happened, so let's just fix that. Alright, I generally don't have any problems doing this, especially if they're going to use a lock sound decoder, then I don't mind going in and changing it. Seems to be the right thing to do. And I'm just getting tired of these weird options for lights that I just don't, they're necessary maybe, but put them further down, and certainly don't sacrifice kind of the standards that we have in order to make this work. So I go in here and take a look. There's what we are. So you can see that forward F1 and forward F2 work a lot of the lights, which are assigned to aux 1 and aux 2. Fine. So let's just go ahead and start changing those. Just to be safe, I'm going to take a screenshot of what's already here, and that way I can put everything back exactly the way it was, just in case I blow it, and I've certainly blown it on a few occasions. So, and if you're not comfortable doing this, I understand, and maybe this isn't such a big deal to you, but I want to have to go look at the instructions every single time to figure out how to turn on the drive sounds and to work the horns. So all I'm doing is I'm taking these lighting functions, which are on F1 and F2, and I'm going to push them down into F7 and F8. And then I'm going to put the drive sound in F1, and I'm going to put the two horns in F2 and F3, just like they are on almost every other model that I own. And then I've got to go through after that and change all of these little tiny icons so that F1, 2, and 3 properly reflect the fact that now it's going to be drive sound, horn, horn, and F7 and F8 are going to reflect those lighting changes. So pretty good. We'll just fill all that out, plop it all in here. Yep, good. I don't do this very often. Actually, I rarely have to go and wholesale change this many functions. So always kind of, and I can't see these very well. These icons, this yellow on gray doesn't look very good. So make sure all that works. Okay, that looks fine. So we'll go ahead and write this to the decoder. There we go. And after I tested this, I realized that I forgot to change the values in F0 to match the buttons that are now going to be F7 and F8. So I had to go back in and change those as well. So, and don't worry, if this goes too fast, you can actually slow it down and see what I'm doing. But I think this all logically would make sense. Basically, you're just swapping out anything that was in F1 and F2 for what is now going to be 7 and 8. And also after testing this, I kind of noticed that these sounds were kind of quiet. So I decided that I want to go ahead and change those as well. So I went in here and changed the sounds and made them higher. In fact, I cranked everything. I cranked the master volume all the way up. I cranked the drive sound all the way up and the two horns all the way up. And I think they were a lot better. So that's all we had to do to make up for the quirky decoder coding that PB models decided to do. I have no idea why they decided to do this. I'll go ahead and run through the lights and the sounds for you here, and I'm going to reflect the correct function number that I've just changed. So you'll have to do this conversion either in your head or online. So here we go. Hitting F0 will give you the lights, and there are 3 up front, and then when you flip it into reverse, it will have 2 red in the back, and you can shut off the fronts, shut off the back ones if you want, and I'll just go ahead and leave them on for now because I always leave them on. Switching mode will give you the center light only on both ends, and by the way, if you didn't notice, those little orange lights light up right by the door. I don't know what they are, but they light up. It's pretty neat. When you start to move, those lights will go out. There they go. And when you stop, they will reignite. There we are. And that happens no matter which way you're going. The cab light lights up, but it lights up on both ends, no matter which way this thing is pointing. I think that's a bit of an oversight on their part. The other thing is those little orange lights, you can't actually turn them off from what I can see. There are interior lights. They have decent intensity, and I have no complaints about those. Sometimes from the factory, they're a bit bright. All right, let's go ahead and run through the sounds. I'll wrap this up with a running session. I hope you enjoy that aspect of it. So it's interesting. It's a new company, and I'm happy to have purchased this from them, even if they didn't want me to purchase it from them or couldn't figure out a way to go through the scenario I went through going down to the post office. Or actually, there's a lot of computerized ways to ship your stuff out of continent. Wish they would have done that so I could have saved the VAT, but I guess I was happy to meet them more than halfway on this. I certainly wish this company well, and I hope they produce more models in the future of this quality and perhaps higher. I just hope, again, that they can figure out how to ship things overseas without a hassle and without terse messages to their customers. Running through the pros of this model, I think that this model I think it's just nice and it's pleasant, and I think it's well thought out. I think the interior lighting is really nice. I wish more models included it. To me, it's the pinnacle of what a premium model should have. It should always have a lit interior that is toggleable either through DCC or perhaps basically a dip switch. They did a good job of hiding the motor and down in the floorboards. Very good. I noticed some companies still aren't doing that, and they have some sort of protruding motor box that goes into the passenger area. That didn't happen here. I can't see the speaker either, so good on them for that. But this is a new company, and I think there are some areas that I hope to see them improve upon going forward. One of the areas that they can improve upon is the sound, and they use a circular speaker, and I'm going to have to put a video out on it, but circular speakers are actually not the best for this scale. I think they do it because they're easy to hide for what it's worth, but the sound is kind of tinny, and the volume is low from the factory. Also, the quality of the sounds aren't the greatest. There's a lot of looping at idle. Also, there seems like there should be more options. I don't necessarily use all of them, but it's really typical for a more premium model to have more sounds. Also, shouldn't I hear 2 engine startups? It seems like each one of these units should have its own Cummins diesel, but I only hear 1 engine startup. I'm glad that they have cab lighting, but it should only be for the cab where the driver is sitting, and it should go back and forth depending on which way the unit is actually going to head. And if you want, you can have a button that allows the person to select both, but out of the box and by default, only one side should be lit up. Also, you should be able to turn off those orange things. This is the same issue that the Auscision had, where you can't turn off those fuel lights. So I hope that's something that they think about going forward. The functions should be more standard in terms of which functions they use for what. I'm not sure why they had to do all that. I've fixed it in here. Hopefully they'll consider that in the future as well. As a whole, I think the model is priced a little bit too expensive given what it is. I don't mind necessarily paying for it, but I think it's probably about maybe $50 to $70 overpriced. Speaking a little bit more broadly, not including literature is just silly, especially for this price. Having nice glossy literature is something we've come to expect and actually kind of desire as model railroaders. And I don't know if your company is going to be around forever. So, what about people who can't go into Lock Programmer and take a look? Again, put literature in, make it look like you've actually put time into something and that you take pride in this beyond just the model itself. Model railroading is a holistic experience. It's not just about the model and the model only. And collectors in the future also want to see something about the model. They'll want to know about it. And your company may not be around much longer, but as somebody who model railroads, these are things that I would think about. And when I purchase older models, I love to see the literature there. It tells me about the model. It helps me date the model in terms of when it was built. It just gives me an idea of what the company was thinking. So consider that for future releases. I figure this is going to be a bit of a specialized shop anyway, kind of like Art to Tech. They put out a very limited run of models, very small numbers of models, and that's probably what we have going here. But I'm very happy they did put out this model. I'm trying to flesh out my entire Dutch line of models, at least in so much that it's practicable. But since this is a new company and this is their first release, I hope they're open to taking some constructive criticism. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this one. I hope you enjoyed watching this. I like watching this model run around, and it's a small model, so it fits on my interior track. The track that's actually on the inside of that is my programming track and test track, so it doesn't see a lot of normal use. What do you think about this? I'm curious to hear your thoughts on it. I wonder if anyone from any other parts of the world will get this in places like Argentina or Poland or somewhere, because they have these things still running around there. All right, be sure to like and comment. I really appreciate those things, and they help my algorithm. And if you really like what I do here, please subscribe. I'll look forward to seeing you soon. Till then, take care, stay safe, happy model railroading, and if you want, stay tuned for the running session without my commentary. All righty, talk to you later. Bye for now.